Come on, Rockfin. Waiting on you. Any day now, Rockfin. Any day. All right.
I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati.
All right, all right. Happy Friday, ladies. Oops, Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. See, I'm already ready for Friday. Welcome to Sabby Sabs Podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. If you're new, I do want to let you know that Sabby Sabs Podcast is a part of Revolutionary Blackout Network. You can catch me there on Thursdays for the Sabby and JB show, and you can catch me here on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. I want to give a shout out to everyone watching on YouTube, Rockfin, Twitter, and Rumble. And what is going on, guys? We have a lot to discuss tonight. These are crazy times. I feel like we're living in a cartoon or cartoon episode. The Red Sox Yankees game was supposed to start at 6 o'clock and they changed the time. And I was like, balls. So this is it. Whoever wins tonight moves on to the next round. Unfortunately, that's how the wild card series works. It's the best out of three. So I'm crossing my fingers. I hope the Red Sox can pull this off tonight. They should have won last night, but we ain't gonna get into that. But welcome back, guys. Okay, tonight's theme is I have questions, and I think you may have questions too. Let's go ahead and get into some of the comments. Say hello to you guys. Shout out to Angelo says, am I the only one who's looking at Charlie's wife like it might be a MF man? An MF man? MF man? I don't know, Angelo. Shout out to Shocked. She shocked. Nick is a Fed. He was leading the charge on January 6th after telling the crowd to ignore the police and break down the barricades. He grabbed a taxi and went for lunch. Tommy Robinson does the same. Yeah, I mean, I have my opinions about Nick Fuentes, but we're going to get into something different about that tonight. I want to give a shout out to Pamela for becoming a new member. Let's give Pamela G a big whoop, whoop in the house. Shout out to Alondra. What's going on? Greetings, getting it or getting it. Is this going to be an interview? I'm not familiar with this channel. No, when I have interviews, it says so-and-so joins. But the Nick Fuentes thing is important. This is a Nick Fuentes, Erika Kirk story. Is one of the stories I'm covering tonight. Shout out to Blockbuster says hi. Greetings. Mill Dog says Sabby Sabs, is Cory Booker part of APAC? He does take money from APAC. He gets a lot of funding from APAC. Yeah. Yeah. New York Varsity, what's up? Says Fuentes, as you said, is an unserious person, and yet they still platform this clown. Well, in this particular segment, it's not someone platforming him, but it's something that he said that I think more people are starting to pay attention to about this whole Erika Kirk situation. So now we're venturing into another part, not just about Charlie Kirk, but Erika Kirk and Nico House. People have been doing some digging, and there are some speculations here about Erika, and I think we need to dive into this as well. Shout out to Lauren, says free Palestine. Greetings, HH, says Netanyahu is so confident about getting the U.S. to be at his beck and call that he can go in front of reporters without even attempting to hide his agenda. I can't say that last part, HH. Salma says Netanyahu's biggest nightmare is his own name. Benjamin is an Arabic name. Benjamin is Ben plus Yemen. Benjamin means son of Yemen. I did not know that. I always learn something from you guys. Greetings, James Bond says, who was the U.S. Secretary of State Israel supposedly whacked? Forrestal? I'm not sure about that. Would I have to check that? Greetings, Zebra says hi. Shout out to Hannah, says this should be interesting. Oh, it will be. Greetings, Bill says Erika Kirk. Shout out to Half, says Miss Piggy. I don't know what you're talking about. Want to see more, says, are we going to get Fridays back? So Fridays is a no-go. I used to stream also on Fridays for those who are new. So I was streaming 4 days a week, but I was doing 5 shows a week. No. And the reason why is because you guys know I also do mutual aid. So I work with the Boston Mutual Aid chapter. That's one of the RBN mutual aid chapters. So we all have our own chapter in our respective areas. And we do have another event that's going to be coming up in December. So I kind of needed to leave Fridays free because I have so much going on, not just YouTube. I also do mutual aid and activism and all of that jazz. But thank you for asking. Mr. Moto says the restaurant or the day, because I'm pretty sure we still have both. Shout out to Crom, says peace, love, Sabby. What's going on, Crom? Greetings, Randy, says good evening, Sabby and my revolutionary comrades. Shout out to KZ, says they increased the price for MTA in New York City. They increased the price here in Boston too for public transit. Yeah. I always wonder where all that money goes, right? Because I don't know about, I go to New York every now and then. I used to live in New York, but you guys have a subway service that's 24 hours. Ours is not 24 hours here in Boston. So my whole thing is you guys keep increasing the fare here in Boston, but you're not increasing the time. So I don't know. Greetings, Edward says hi. Shout out to Itoli, says evening, everyone. Greetings, Crystal says hello, y'all. With Dre Day said Erika knew what was going to happen. Some people are saying that. I'm not sure I agree with that. And shout out to Leroy, says good day, my good people. Let's go ahead and jump in, guys, because we do have quite a bit to cover. Tonight's theme again is I have questions. And I think you may have some questions too. Let's go ahead and give a shout out to Sabby patrons. Thank you guys so much for your support. I really do appreciate all of you, fam. Hey, hey, hey. If you are interested in being a Sabby patron, I have 5 categories. Ultimate, Sabinators, there's Sabsters. They're really cool as well. Don't forget about those Sabbies. They are not too shabby, holding down the fort. And of course, we also have a group called Members. All of their names are featured here, and you can also see their names scrolling across the bottom of the screen on the ticker. Want to give a shout out to a new Sabby patron. Over here, we call them newbies. Let's give it up for Richard Marins. Thank you. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate you guys. Appreciate you. Yeah. All right. Okie dokie. Again, tonight's theme is I have questions. I have questions. And I think you guys have questions too. Let's go ahead and show that beautiful thumbnail, ladies and gents. I say beautiful. I'm just giving myself a little, maybe too much credit. I don't have the best thumbnails in the world, but they've gotten better. Trust me. They used to be really bad. Okie dokie. Tonight, we are discussing Nick Fuentes has put out a statement about Erika Kirk. And this also leads into a little bit about her background. Now, Nico House has done a fantastic job really diving into this. So we got Nick and Nico, the ends tonight, really kind of pointing some things out that I think maybe we did not pay attention to, or maybe we just weren't aware of. Because I wasn't aware of some of these things that they kind of dive into here. So we are going to get into that. We're also going to discuss, of course, the current status of the Freedom Flotillas. I have been watching this very closely. They have been detained, most of them as of right now, but all hope is not lost because something else just started after they were detained. I'm telling you guys, the world is rising up. We're also going to discuss, this is a big story, and I think this really needs more attention. Kash Patel in that square there apparently has just cut ties with the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. Yes, yes, yes. I can't believe it. It's not for the reason you would think, but we'll get into that. We're also going to discuss Candace Owens has responded about that letter. You guys know there was a lot of heat that people were putting on her online since that alleged letter has been released, which we covered. Well, she has issued a response. And also, what does all this have to do with Megyn Kelly? There's a lot of pressure being put on her about this as well. And last but not least, we are going to discuss the paid Israel influencers. We are going to do a deep dive into that, how much money Benjamin Netanyahu and them have been giving American influencers to spread their propaganda. We have a deep dive for that. I'm telling you guys, everything is coming out, and it'll come out here. All right. If you have not done so, please do me a solid and smash that like button. And if you're new, don't forget to like, sub, and share, just like a Care Bear. And we're going to keep on moving on. Again, the theme tonight is I have questions. So let's get to some of those questions. We're going to get started with our first story here, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, there were 50 boats that were headed towards Gaza to deliver humanitarian aid. They're part of the Freedom Flotilla. Israel intercepted most of the activists. Last time I checked, I think it was over 400 that they've intercepted, 400 people, I think. I have to go back and check that. But they have all been kidnapped. We're not using the word arrested. We're not using the word detained. We are using the word kidnapped. And the reason why we're using that word is because those are international waters. And to board a ship without their permission, that's illegal. Number one, this is piracy. This is really what this is. So this is Israel violating international law, and they kidnapped those activists, many of them American citizens. Let's go ahead and get into the warning that was coming from Greg Stoker. You guys are probably familiar with him. I've seen Greg on Katie Halper's show a number of times. This was the warning here.
My name is Greg Stoker. I'm aboard the veterans boat attached to the Global Samud Flotilla. We are currently 70 to 80 nautical miles off the coast of Gaza. We are being approached by 10 to 12 naval vessels not running a transponder. They are the blockade from the Israeli Navy that we were anticipating. They are currently hailing our vessels, telling us to turn off our engines and await further instructions, or our boats will be seized and will face the consequences. We are currently in international waters in accordance with international and maritime law. We are a civilian aid mission trying to break the unlawful siege of the Gaza Strip and render aid and open a humanitarian corridor into a people facing state-sponsored annihilation.
They're receiving radio communication from the Israeli occupational forces that they are saying this is a war zone and that they are telling us to turn around or they will confiscate our boats. We have responded to them saying we do not recognize them as a lawful entity, as they have been, by the UN, told that they are in violation of the Geneva Convention, systematically starving Palestinians using famine as a weapon. Therefore, we are allowed to deliver our humanitarian aid. We are a non-violent humanitarian mission. We are only here to deliver food to the starving people of Gaza, who have been systematically starved by the Israelis. We are allowed to deliver our aid. International humanitarian law protects us. Anything they do to us would be in violation of those laws.
Yeah, this is important. I'm glad they got that on video for people to understand. They have the right to say, no, you cannot board our ship. No, you are not going to send us back. That is a violation of the Geneva. Well, they are in a violation of the Geneva Convention, but also those are international waters. But as you guys know, Israel does whatever it wants to do. Now, I don't think they've captured everyone, but this was the statement here that was also announced. Breaking the global Samud Flotilla says that more than 443 volunteers from the 47 countries were illegally, we're going to say kidnapped. They were kidnapped in international waters after Israel intercepted the fleet. Participants were attacked with water cannons, sprayed with sewage water, and their communications jammed. So some of the videos I'm not going to be able to show because it shows the IDF boarding the boats, but they have guns in their hand, and we can't show guns on YouTube, even though some people do and get away with it. Don't get me started about that. But the reality is they jam the communications, so they cut off the cameras because they don't want you to see what they're doing. Right now, we have one of those boats here. Let's go ahead and bring this one up. Israel intercepted the boat Captain Nikos was on. Now, this particular boat was carrying European MP Rima Hassan. So you have an MP aboard this boat.
Very, very late. Very late. Scary.
Pour les devants, Marco. Faut aller à l'avant. Approchez-vous.
Yeah, this is so illegal, you guys.
Very good job. Thanks.
Yeah. So they had to exit. They kidnapped them, and it's just really disturbing because it's so frustrating to me because we all know that this is illegal and the world is just letting them get away with it. Many of you may be wondering what happened to the warships from Spain and Italy. From what I understand, they were following the boats and they were going along with them. But as they got closer to Gaza, they told them to turn back. And so from what I understand, those warships decided to turn back around and didn't follow them the full way as they got closer to Gaza. I don't know what it's all going to take, you guys. I think they should have went with them the entire way. So I felt like that was, yeah, Mike, coward. Yeah, I felt like that was cowardly. I really do. I'm disappointed in them for backing down. Now, if you live here in Massachusetts, there were two brothers. This is really important. Two brothers that were kidnapped on those ships. In fact, they are related to someone that you also may be very well familiar with, because I shared the post on Twitter. I still call it Twitter. Sorry. Last night, two brothers from Massachusetts have been kidnapped by Israel. Senator Warren, Ed Markey, Ayanna Pressley. You need to speak up about this. So this is something like we really got to call this out. People need to contact their representatives. These Congress members are being very quiet about people like Americans being kidnapped by Israel. We saw the same thing when Chris Smalls was kidnapped by Israel, and none of them said anything. I mean, even Bernie and AOC didn't even say anything, and they've been at Chris Smalls events, the Amazon rally events. So we all got to call this out, guys. You need to tag them in these posts. I found out about this because there was an email that was sent to me from Mass Action, which is an activist organization here. It said, breaking, two brothers from Massachusetts, Adnan and Torleif Stumo, traveling on the global Samud Flotilla to bring aid to Gaza, have been illegally abducted by the Israeli military. I urge you to call your representatives now and demand they take action to protect their constituents. Now, who are these individuals? Check this out. He sent this to me. This is from Eugene. These brothers, sister Samya Stumo, their sister was killed in the Boeing Supermax crash in 2019, and their family was denied justice. They are the grandnephews of Ralph Nader and proud Lebanese Americans. Their grandmother, Laura Nader, was my professor at UC Berkeley. So these two brothers that were kidnapped by Israel are related to Ralph Nader. So there's a lot going on here, guys. And I'm telling you, contact your representatives and demand that they say something. If you live here with me in Massachusetts, contact Elizabeth Warren's office. Contact Ayanna Presley's office. Contact Ed Markey's office. Ed Markey, I stood there right next to you a couple years ago in Malden when we were giving out food to the homeless on Thanksgiving Day. Like this needs to be called out. These politicians, they'll come around in a year or two, especially Ayanna, because she's a Congress member, so hers is every 2 years. They're going to come around in a year or two asking for your vote. But they're saying nothing about their own constituents being kidnapped. So we really got to say something about this, guys. So if you're on social media, make sure you tag them, make sure you contact them. So of course, as you may know, Greta Thunberg, who was also on one of those boats, she was kidnapped again this time. And this time around, things are definitely different for Greta. Here's a video of her here. They got her there. Someone made a really nasty remark. I'm going to show you. I think people are just so gross nowadays. This guy here, Daniel, who, by the way, if you hover over his name, broadcaster on News Maxus, security expert. This is what he said. No sandwiches this time. Game time is over. I want Greta Thunberg terrified. I want her screaming and begging for it to stop. I want her rocking in a corner, covering her eyes, peeing and pooping in her pants. Israel is fighting a genocidal enemy and doesn't need to be distracted by attention-seeking activists with no skin in the game who think this will be cute content for Instagram. They want to enter a war zone. Fine. War is hell. Give them hell. Let them find out. Let their screams be a warning to other useful idiots for Hamas. It's time to grow up, Greta. You see what we're dealing with? You guys see what we're dealing with? That it's sick and disgusting. And imagine calling the other side genocidal when you're the one that's killing all the people. This is the mentality. This is the mindset. It's a poison. It's like a cancer. This gentleman here, he was waiting for the boats to arrive. This one was hard to see. I went to the sea waiting for the heroes of humanity and peace. His name is Abdullah Omar, but they have not arrived yet. We hope they arrive safely and rescue us from this hell we are living in. Goes on to say here, please share this and tag their accounts in a comment so they know that I am waiting for them with all my heart. This is sad. Let me see if I can get to this video here. 1 second. Let me remove it and then come back in. I don't know why it's... Oh, here we go. It's not letting me scroll. But anyway... Oh, it's on the wrong one. Hold on 1 second. Let me text Eric really quick. I think it froze on me. Hold on. Sometimes it does that. Hold on. Let me come out and come back in. Hold on one second, guys. It said we're coming. I think it's just on my side. Let me make sure I'm logged in. One second. Oh, wait, there it is. Okay, it's back. Sorry. But I wanted to show this to you guys. So this is the video here. Because I just felt so bad for this guy. Let me see. Here we go. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, I don't know what happened to. That's weird. Anyway, you guys saw that the gentleman there who was waiting, he said that he was waiting for those boats. So that sucks. Now, I do have some good news though. That sucks, but here's the thing. This isn't over. Turkey, people from Turkey are now on boats on their way to Gaza. It's back. It's back, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I'm saying. This is not over. The world is rising up. Check this out. This is Turkey. In response to Israel's blockade of the global Samud flotilla, approximately 45 civilian boats from Turkey are reportedly en route to Gaza. Give a shout out to Turkey, fam. Check it out. Yeah, buddy. Shout out to Turkey for doing the damn thing. So it's not over, and it's not just Turkey. It turns out in Italy, the Italians kept their word. The Italians said that if Israel intervened with this blockade, that the strikes would restart and they would be back out in the streets. And that's exactly what's happening, ladies and gentlemen. Strike called in Italy. Protests flare over interception of Gaza aid ships. The world is saying no, guys. The world is rising up. Italian unions called for a general strike on Friday in solidarity with the International Aid Flotilla for Gaza, while protests sprang up in a number of cities late on Wednesday after reports that the ships had been intercepted by military personnel. In the southern city of Naples, demonstrators got into the main railway station and halted train traffic while police surrendered the Termini railway station in Rome after protesters gathered close to entrances. In fact, you can see some of that here.
Blocchiamo tutto! Fermiamo la città oggi! Siamo arrivati da Kabul occupato! Siamo arrivati la stessa che ha visto 200.000 persone in piazza solo a Roma il 22!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly what I was talking about. That's exactly what I was talking about. Other people rising up. So I'm so proud to see that Italy kept their word. I'm so proud to see that people are on boats from Turkey. trying to make their way there. And then also Spain. People in Spain, students in Spain are protesting in support of Palestine and the global Samud flotilla, which was attacked and intercepted by Israel. All right, you guys get the gist of it there. We got to go ahead and make sure that we drop a beat for Spain, Italy, and of course, those who left Turkey and got on boats to head towards Gaza. This is exactly what we need, fam. Let's give it up for them. Woo! The people have spoken. The people have spoken, and the world is paying attention to what is happening, ladies and gents. So all hope is not lost. You yourself can follow this. Follow the Freedom Flotilla Coalition. Their website is freedomflotilla.org. So you can see what's happening there. And if you scroll down, you can check and see the live status, right? So if you follow that website, you'll be able to track the ships and to see what's going on. The world is rising up, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I say Israel, they can go ahead and flood social media as much as they want to. But honestly, you cannot put the genie back in the bottle. Now, when I say I have questions, and I think you have this question as well. Why are these Congress members so silent? And I'm not talking about the Congress members that take money from AIPAC or Kufi or J Street. I'm talking about the ones that don't. Where are they? Why are they silent? Where is Bernie Sanders? Where is AOC? Where is Ayanna Pressley? Elizabeth Warren? Where are all these people? Why aren't they saying anything about these Americans that are being kidnapped by Israel? Because I don't mean the ones that are taking money from AIPAC. I don't expect them to say any damn thing. I'm talking about the ones that aren't taking that money. What is going on? Contact your representatives, guys. Contact your representatives. Let's go ahead and get to some of the comments here. Thank you for the super chat, Lewis James. Hey, Sabby, much love. What happened to Spain ships? Yeah, they didn't go with them the whole way. Unfortunately, they turned back. Thank you so much for the super chat, Donna. Hello, Sabby. Just found your channel. Thank you for all you do. Thank you and welcome. Welcome, welcome. D. Belfi said, greetings, Sabby. Troops are being deployed to Louisiana. Will you do any shows on the soldier deployments? Yes, I should do the first one on Sunday, actually. Thank you so much for that. The world is on fire, said Sabby. You should interview Greg once he gets back to the USA. Yeah, I can try. I do need to bring Greg on. Thank you, Portable. Sabby Sabs, cute shirt. That's a good color on you. Oh, thanks. Thanks. Kind of like a lavender color. I like this color. I don't know. Mike said, was Susan Sarandon on one of the boats? So I heard before they set sail that she was going to be on one of them, but then I didn't hear anything else after that. So I'm not sure. Thank you for the super sticker, Keong Anderson. And thank you for the super sticker, Blueser. And thank you for the super sticker, Roger. Spike Lee, get on the bus. This one, get on the boat. Yeah, I mean, like, this is what I'm talking about. You keep sending ships, keep sending more and more. And eventually, well, you guys know what I think. Eventually, it's just going to be too much to bear. Because that was 50. What if there would have been 100? Just something to think about. All right. We're going to keep it moving on to the next story, ladies and gents. If you haven't had a chance to do so, can you smash that like button for me? Thank you very much. And we're going to keep it moving on and on and on and on. Okay. This next story, holy smoly. This next story, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, there is a lot of pressure on social media that is now being put on Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson since this alleged Charlie Kirk letter has been revealed. And people are asking them to take their statements back. In particular, people are asking Megyn Kelly to disassociate with Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. I kid you not. You're going to see proof of that. Now, Candace did issue a response about that letter, and she said something else too, which I was not aware of, about what Charlie Kirk wanted to do, what he was trying to do going forward. Everybody need to take a listen to this really quick. So people wanted her to respond, so she did respond. So here we go.
So let's stick with that theme. Do you want to know something else that was brand new leading up to this event? Charlie's perspective on Israel. Okay, so let me say this so you can hear it. Charlie Kirk's perspective on Israel was not starting to shift. It had shifted entirely. Okay, there are no ifs and there are no ands and there are no buts about it. Israel knew that. Turning Point USA knew that because Charlie was explicit. So my question is, why isn't Turning Point USA making any statements and shutting down this repeat attempt by Israel to lie and to pretend that towards the end, Charlie was just authoring love letters to Israel, giving them a perspective of here's how we can win here's what you guys need to do. You need to work with this Hillel, whatever it is. Yeah, the same people that are calling me anti-Semitic, you need to work with those people harder. And he was just putting it on paper. Was it an email? What was that they were sharing? The New York Post, the Israeli Post, right? What were they sharing there?
Let me pause here and I'll answer that question for Candace. The reason why Turning Point isn't coming out and saying anything or denying it or whatever is because in the world of business, the business goes on. And you guys are already seeing that, right? Like they already found a replacement for him very quickly. Again, I was not a fan of Charlie Kirk. I have a lot of problems with things that Charlie Kirk said. But do I still feel as though he had the right to say it? Yes, because I believe in free speech. But at the end of the day, the business doesn't want to muddy the waters. They don't want to get into those things. They just want to keep that business thriving. And right now it seems like, Erika Kirk is kind of taking up these reins. She was his wife to take on that challenge of Turning Point USA. And then they have this young guy, Brilliant Hollyhan, who is now going to speak at these different campuses, which we talked about a couple of days ago. So at the end of the day, the business is never going to put itself in jeopardy, even if it means coming forward with what Candace says is the truth. That's not going to happen. Let's continue on.
He wrote of his deep love for Israel. He had nothing else to do in May. Wrote of his deep love for Israel to a letter to Netanyahu. Netanyahu said they were close, but in the letter, Charlie puts his number, which apparently Netanyahu didn't have his number. And we're supposed to believe, did he send that as an email, by the way? Can somebody clarify? Was that an email they were sharing? Or did he send it in the mail to him? Could somebody just share that, please? I'm assuming it was an email. Can someone share the timestamp on that? Just kind of like authenticate that email, because I'm very aware of what's going on. Okay. And I don't know how the executives over at Turning Point USA sleep at night. Okay. I don't know how you can present yourselves as a Christian organization and not be dedicating yourself to the truth. No matter what the cost is, you tell the truth. That's it. Okay.
The same way pastors and have committed some crimes that the church is aware of and Christian organizations defend them. The same way. In fact, there was just a pastor reported for like trafficking a kid. The same way. And this is ultimately why some people leave the church. the hypocrisy. The same way that pastors who are married can have affairs with women in the congregation and other people in the church know about it. And also people that are part of other like boards from other churches, you know, you have like the conferences, the church conferences and stuff like that, where all different churches like come together and stuff like that. And they know about it and they still back the pastor. That's how. That is how.
You don't hide it. You don't try to obfuscate it. You don't try to say, well, wait until the memorial event before we start looking into who murdered him. You tell the truth and you tell it immediately. And I don't think they're capable of doing that. And I have an idea as to why that is. I think the same people that were pressuring Charlie are pressuring them. In fact, I know that for a fact. So they might need my help. Okay. I'm going to state this, and I'm going to challenge Turning Point USA executives to issue a very clean statement saying that I am lying if this is not true. About 48 hours before Charlie Kirk died, Charlie informed people at Turning Point, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright. Okay, Charlie was done. He said it explicitly, that he refused to be bullied anymore by the Jewish donors. Can you guys answer? Did he express that? Did he also express that he wanted to bring me, Candace Owens, back because he was standing up for himself? And then did he, just 48 hours later, conveniently catch a bullet to the throat before our onstage reunion could happen?
Okie dokie. And this is the part that I wanted to draw your attention to, because now we're getting other information. So according to Candace, she is saying that he had decided to abandon the pro-Israel cause altogether. Now, this goes a step further than what she said before, and then what Tucker Carlson also said, and also a step further than what Megyn Kelly said. They all said that Charlie Kirk had questions about Israel and felt like he should be able to ask those questions or to criticize Israel if he wanted to. But they also said that he truly loved Israel. Now we're hearing from Candace that Charlie wanted to abandon the pro-Israel movement altogether. So that goes a step further. So it appears there must have been, if this is true, there must have been conversations that he had with her that he did not have with them. Now we're also hearing that Candace Owens is saying that Charlie Kirk wanted to bring her back. So everyone needs to go back and remember some things. Remember, Turning Point USA, Candace used to be a part of those conferences. Remember, it wasn't just Charlie Kirk that was going around. Candace used to join him in some of those conferences, speaking to college students, etc. She was a big part of all that as well. Then all this stuff happened with the Daily Wire. She spoke out against Israel, the genocide, the killing of the children, when she was still at the Daily Wire. And the Daily Wire let her go. And we can go through that story another time. We'd already been down that road. But Ben Shapiro and them basically said, you got to get up out of here. So she left the Daily Wire and she decided to start her own podcast and, do her own thing. And Turning Point USA, all of these organizations cut ties. You see, this is what I was saying about things being a business, right? On the left, it's a little bit different because, like I said, we don't have a lot of money on the left. Like, we don't have a Turning Point USA of the left. We had a Justice Democrats, but even Justice Democrats didn't do, like, there weren't these campus tours, go all across the country and speak at campus. We just didn't have that on the left, right? So once she spoke out against what Israel was doing, and even at that point in the beginning, she wasn't like, I despise Israel. She was just asking, why are they killing all these kids in Gaza? I'm seeing the videos, I'm seeing the images, right? So even that was too much. And she debated, like a rabbi came on Daily Wire to talk to her about this. And I think Rabbi Shmuley also wanted to talk to her. And the next thing you knew, she was out of there. When they fired her from the Daily Wire, after that, she was also removed from other org. So she was no longer a part of Turning Point US. They didn't want anything to do with her. I think the conservative conference, what is it, CPAC? CPAC, they didn't want her to speak there. Once you turn, this is what I said before about these organizations. Once you turn against them or even just speak out in a way that they don't think that you should, every door shuts in your face. So all of that was gone. I don't think a lot of people realize just how much they like these like people like Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens and stuff like that. When they were traveling across the country, that was all paid for. They put them up in nice hotels, all of this stuff. They had a lot of money. The left went, we don't have that. The left does not have that, right? So according to her, she is saying that Charlie Kirk wanted her to come back to Turning Point USA. And also, according to her, she was supposed to have, I guess, her appearance on stage. I'm coming back out to the org on stage. There was supposed to be, I guess, some announcement, according to her. If this is true, why isn't anyone else talking about it? If it is true, they're not talking about it because they still want to be a part of the club. Because if they co-sign what she's saying, they will be dismissed from the club too. All these doors will shut in their face. And that's what this is about a lot of the times, folks. And this is one of the things I said before. When you look at this YouTube media space, and then you look at an organization like Turning Point USA, this is all a business. The Daily Wire is a business. People are going to do what they feel is best for their bottom line in that business. And if that means that they want to get rid of you, they'll get rid of you. And we watch this happen with multiple people. We watched it happen to Katie Halper. We watched it happen to Brianna Joy Gray. They were removed from Rising. You know, at the end of the day, they looking out for the business. They just want to make money. That's what this is really all about. One big club. But that's the first time I heard that he wanted to bring her back. Let's continue.
It's a yes or a no. Okay. Let's stop this ditching. Let's stop the dodging. Let's explicitly, I want to hear from Turning Point USA that I'm lying about that. I want you to say, no, it was just, he was feeling a little bit of pressure. No, I want you to literally answer what I have just said. It either happened or it didn't. I'm either making it all up or it happened exactly as I'm saying. And while we're at it, may I ask, what is the name of the Jewish donor who sponsored the Hamptons weekend? Okay. And to Pastor Rob McCoy, were there any LLCs that you or your son were being paid through that sat outside of Turning Point? I'm asking that question genuinely. Yeah, I'm putting the fire here right at the feet of Turning Point because I am disgusted. I am genuinely disgusted. I am looking around and wondering whether Charlie's entire life was the Truman Show. None of you guys are behaving in the way that you should be behaving, okay? There is no way you are letting these lies fly unless, as I am hearing, unless it is true that there was a big payday that was on the line. And if Charlie radically stated that he was done with Israel, if Charlie said he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause because of, and I quote, Jewish donors, the behavior of Jewish donors, if he said that, yes or no, well then, I don't know, maybe some people didn't want to take that risk that he was going to become Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson at Turning Point USA with all of those presences, so much presence across college campuses. Maybe they didn't want to take the chance. You see,
but they already had someone lined up very quickly to assume that position. And this is one of the things I said before too, it's still just really weird to me how quickly they just moved on with someone else. So when I say I have questions, I mean damn, that was fast. It was really, really fast. Like, you guys ever noticed this? It's just very weird to me how quickly they moved on with him. Now, I don't know. I have no proof if what Candace is saying is true, but I can tell you a little something from my experience, in particular in this YouTube media space. So this show, the Sabby Sab show, this show is independent, right? So I don't have sponsors. I don't have no billionaire backers, none of that stuff. Can't you tell? Look at my setup. Right? You can see the difference. And one thing I can tell you that I have noticed, the shows that have a lot of money, they have people putting more money like into them. There's a lot that they can do, but sometimes there is a string attached to that financial investment. It's like I said before, no one is going to donate millions of dollars to your podcast or to your organization without getting something in return. And oftentimes what you see in particular with these shows, like we talked about, like with David Pakman and them taking the dark money, oftentimes what you see with these shows is that the podcaster and the organizer, so to speak, they end up basically performing a role. And it's almost as if it's like, if you try to go outside of that role, the script that is written for you, people will start to withdraw the money. They stop donating. I'm not going to invest in you anymore because, like I said, they're going to get something for their investment. And if you've been sitting back and you've been wondering if some of the people that you watch or whatever you've seen before, whatever, like they can't be this naive. No way they actually believe this. There's no way in hell. And you may have thought at one point, maybe they're just playing a role. They probably are. Because that's the thing. And when you assume that role, that is really what your job is at that point in time. And when some of these billionaires start investing in an organization like Turning Point USA, or even investing, they'll come to you with all kind of stuff. We'll get you a studio so you don't have to stream. You think people ain't coming to me with stuff? We'll get you a studio so that you don't have to stream in your home. We'll pay for it. We'll get you a nice newscaster desk. We'll even hook you up with a professional sound system, which, by the way, is very expensive. If anyone's ever worked in audio engineering or anything, you have worked in any type of studio, you worked with audio, you know that having a mic'd up studio is very expensive. And they come to you with all of these things. And especially if you just really want to get yourself out there, and for some people, they can be really intrigued by the money. A lot of times people say yes, but there are strings attached to that investment. And people can pull it back anytime. I know one channel in particular who's no longer in the space came to me privately a couple years ago. This offer was made to them. And the moment they gave like basically a test, they had a test run. The moment they decided, well, no, I'm not going to be who you want me to be. That individual who decided to invest in them wanted them to portray a more liberal approach, didn't want them to be as far left, said they were a little too radical, just try to be a little bit more mainstream for the moderates. And they weren't willing to change who they were. They sent all the equipment back and they left the space completely. So there are a lot of things that have happened behind the scenes that you guys just may not be, you're not aware of because you're not behind the scenes, but I've seen it. I've seen people say, okay, I'll take that money. I'll take that offer and da, da, da. I don't have a studio. So some of these people are playing roles. Like I said, I told you guys, I never met Charlie Kirk. I never engaged with him in any way, shape, or form. But sometimes you got to wonder. I remember, what's her name? Tammy Loren. I remember, I think Kyle Kalinske, this was like back in the day. He used to call her out a lot, like on his channel. And I remember years ago, I was saying to myself, there's no way she believes this stuff that she's saying. Like, I don't believe she believes it. Some of these people are playing roles. Let's go on a little bit more.
I'm just one person, so it's easy to just try to cancel my life and lie on me every second of every day. But Turning Point USA, I think, got a little bit bigger than Charlie, and I'm no longer going to allow this lie in this narrative. So answer the questions, yes or no. And I'm going to, again, challenge you to lie. And if you do lie, I'm going to expose the lies, and I'm going to start dropping videos, actually. So that's where I'm at. Enough of the games, enough with trying to allow Israel to wrangle a narrative that you know is not true. Charlie did not die pro-Israel. He did not die for Israel. He did not martyr himself as a friend of Israel. In fact, the friends of Israel were pressuring him really badly, and he was done, and he finally stood up for himself. And I'm proud of that. And I will say this, you know what? Somewhere, Charlie is watching, okay? And I hope he knows that we are reunited, okay? We're on stage right now, and the Jewish donors are very angry about it, extremely angry about it. But it feels good to know that in the end, truth is going to win. So accept my challenge or don't.
Okay, so she said she is willing to release videos. I guess we'll have to wait and see if that happens. But here's the thing, and I'm gonna get to the Megyn Kelly part. Here's the problem, right? You know, people will turn on you. People will turn on you the moment you don't move the way that they want you to move. I've had people in this space turn on me because I wasn't willing to support Kamala Harris, which, to no secret, for people who know me in my personal life, I wasn't willing to support Kamala Harris in 2020. So I don't know why people thought I would have been willing to support her in 2024. So they will turn on you. The moment that you don't move the way that they think, is almost like cult-like, right? And there's cliques within this media space as well, on the left and on the right. And I think people have seen it before on the left, but now we're starting to see where there may have been cliques on the right as well. Here's the thing. If what Candace is saying is true, the problem that she runs into is, of course, the people that worked with her on the right, like the Ben Shapiro's and all that jazz, they're not going to come in to defend her because they closed that door. On the other hand, people on the left are not going to come forward and defend her because there's just no relationship there. So she's in a position where it's like, if she is telling the truth, who is going to back her up? Now, Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson did, in reference to Charlie starting to question Israel and wanted to be able to criticize it, right? I don't know if they're going to go further than that. I really don't. And let me show you why. People are already coming after Megyn Kelly. This is from Florida, Dad. If you can't separate yourself from Candace Owens, many of us are going to separate ourselves from you. We do not have to align with everyone that claims to be of the right when their motives and history are as shady as hers. 3,000 likes for this tweet. He was responding to Megyn Kelly's tweet here, where she said the Charlie Kirk letter to Bibi is interesting for obvious reasons. But if you want to hear Charlie in his own words speaking to a friend, RE, his feelings on Israel and the pressure on him, it's all here on August 6th. No filter needed. Just listen to him. And I think we've played that before on this show. But do you see Florida Dad? If you can't separate yourself from Candace Owens, okay, check this one out. So she responded, look at this. No, I have no obligation to separate myself from anyone. I run my own media company and my own show. That show is where I express my own opinions and I will decide what and what not to opine on. If you need me to condemn Candace or Tucker for their opinions in order to listen to me, then I may not be for you. He's a close friend and she's under enough pressure without gratuitous shots from me. My fight is with the left, not these two. So everybody see what's happening here now? So now people are pointing fingers at Megyn Kelly. This is all on social media. For those, I know some of you don't have an X account, and I understand. I understand. You see what's happening here? So it's very, very telling. This is the first time I've seen this split on the right. Like I said, like on the left, I've seen it multiple times. I saw it during Force the Vote. I saw it in 2016 after there was this debate whether or not if Bernie supporters should support Hillary Clinton. And I remember TYT said, vote for Hillary. There's a little bit of a split there. I saw it in 2020 when there was a split between whether people should support Joe Biden or just not, withhold because of what they did to Bernie. I've seen this a lot on the left and with other issues too. It's not just elections sometimes on the left. But this is the first time I've seen a split like this on the right. So I don't know, you guys. I don't know, but I do have questions. And here are some of the questions that I have, because my whole thing is this. At the end of the day, I think people are going to have to make a decision. I haven't seen the interview yet with Tucker Carlson and Jeffrey Sachs. I do need to watch that. I know many of you already emailed me and said you need to watch this interview. And Professor Sachs has been on the show as well. But I'm going to say this. It seems like what is going to happen is at some point, I think someone's going to give. Someone's going to bend. Right now, Megyn Kelly, who wasn't seen as what they call fringe, right, is now being viewed that way because of that alleged letter that has been released. Like I said, I don't know if that letter is the real letter or not. There's no date on that letter. I don't know. Anybody could wrote that. We don't know. But assuming that it is, she is now being ostracized by some on the right. Tucker Carlson, some of them started to ostracize him when he interviewed Vladimir Putin. So this has been going on for quite a bit now, but even more so now, because he said, why can't we criticize Israel? Why do we have to have so much focus on this country that I don't even live in? And then, of course, Candace Owens. And if I were to make a bet on who I think would bend, it would probably be Megyn. Tucker doesn't need to. Candace honestly don't need to either. Her channel's doing very well. But if I had to guess, it would probably be Megyn, because Megyn's show is part of Sirius Radio. You guys familiar with Sirius? So she worked for somebody. What if they put pressure on Megyn and tell her, look, cut it out with the Israel criticism or you're out of here? Then what? That's why it's good to be independent. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. Hey, hey, hey. All right. Thank you so much for the super chat. Snowy. Someone reported that Makino arrived in Gazan waters. I wonder if it's true. Yeah, follow the website, the Freedom Flotilla website, so that you can see the live updates there. That's why I send everybody, right? So some of the stuff I noticed on X isn't true, right? So just follow the website. Thank you, Susanna. Eyes have been open. Questions are being asked about America's greatest ally. This is not going away. Thank you for the super sticker, Trader. Keep up the great work. Holy shit, Trader. Thank you so much. That's a lot. Thank you. Buck says, yep, my faith and relationship with God is private. Churches are weird now. I've been hearing that from quite a bit of people. Thank you, Chanel. Sabby, thank you for all you do for Palestine. You are welcome. Shout out to Bob Sawin, who just became a Sabby member. Give Bob a big whoop, whoop. Thank you, Roger Meadows. Larry told me business isn't immoral, but amoral. Thank you, Cloudness. Kundis tap dancing ass ain't nobody saving you. Thank you for this one as well. Kundis bootlicking sellout massa done broke you. This is another part where it gets, I think, tough too, because a lot of us in the Black community, Black people aren't willing to stick their neck out like that for her because of all the stuff from the past. So it's just like you kind of in this spot now where it's like, I don't know. Thank you, Snowy. I love your home studio, Sabby. Please don't change it. By the way, how can one acquire a copy of your print with the faces of the truth journalists? Some people just use like my Twitter, my X profile picture, or you can just email me. My email address is in the description of all my videos. Thank you, China. Sab, happy October. What's your favorite horror movie franchise? Oh my God. You know, it used to be like the Freddy, Jason kind of series, right? Like I really used to like, I mean, I'm old school. The Freddy, Jason like movies. But then I watched, I cannot remember director's name, but it's the director that made the movie The Fall of the House of Usher and The House of The Haunting at Hill House. You guys, somebody in the chat knows who I'm talking about. It's that guy. I just can't remember his name, but there's like 4 or 5 of those movies made by that same director with the same actors. And you can watch all of them on Netflix. That is my favorite one. The Haunting at Hill House, The Fall of the House of Usher, or The House of Usher. I think it's House of Usher. Somebody got it. Mike Flanagan. Yes. I love it. Love it. Watch his movies. Just Google Mike Flanagan and you'll see all of them. There's a whole, and it's the same actors. So that's what's cool about it too. I like it. Thank you, Friedman Network. Old Charlie had Candace in the buck, tearing that thing up at one point in time. Oh my God, you guys are funny. And thank you, Mr. They know Kundus is a grifter. Woo! The chat is hot tonight. All right, let's continue on, ladies and gentlemen, to the next story. This is another big one. Let me just make sure. Do we have the thing from Marjorie? Did I put? I just got to make sure I add the Marjorie thing. Is this the one? This is the wiki. Oh, that's the WikiLeaks thing. Okay, I can come back and add that. Okay. This story is getting a lot of buzz, and I think you guys need to know also when we're talking about influencers, who's working for who and what is the agenda that they're trying to accomplish. It was just reported that Israel has been paying $7,000 per post to undisclosed U.S. influencers amid the Gaza backlash. Now, they're not undisclosed anymore. We're going to show you who some of those influencers are, but the Israeli government is paying U.S. content producers up to $7,000 per post as part of a major increase in budget for global influence campaigns. So listen to this. Just a reminder, Benjamin Netanyahu revealed this in this meeting with these influencers a couple of days ago.
We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay, and you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are the social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. That's very good. And, you know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him.
So here we go. We have a prime minister from another country trying to flood social media sites. X, they bought TikTok. Larry Ellison, billionaire, bought TikTok. I already went on TikTok the other day, and I'm seeing a lot. All I see is pro-Israel content on TikTok. Facebook, as if this changes anything. That's the hilarious part. You cannot put the genie back in the bottle. People have already seen what they have saw. People's minds are not going to be changed because you flood social media. 2 years of a genocide. But the fact that Israel is paying American influencers to post on their behalf, those influencers, those content creators should have to register with FARA. And this is something that Marjorie Taylor Greene has been speaking out about. I agree with her on this. I don't agree with her on other stuff, but I agree with her on this issue. They should have to register with FARA. You are operating on behalf of another country. In this country, you are really working for them. You should have to register. Just imagine if they were being paid by Xi Jinping in China. Could you imagine the outrage? But because it's Israel, it's okay. Now, as we go farther into the story, you're going to see this. Former Trump campaign manager registers as foreign agent for Israel. So peep this guy. There he is there. His name is Brad Parscale. This month, he registered as a foreign agent for Israel as part of a new $6 million deal to create pro-Israel content targeting young Americans. $6 million deal. We have Americans selling out for another country, all for money. And if that's what you're willing to know, you're not America first. Don't buy into this rhetoric that comes from people when they say, well, if pro-Israel is America first. No, it's not. No, it's not. Not when we're giving them $3.8 billion every year. Not when people in Israel have healthcare, universal healthcare, and their universities are free, and we don't even have those basics here in this country. No, it's not. No, it's not. I don't know why people are falling for that one. Parscale signed a foreign agent's registration form this month, informing the DOJ that he and his business Clock Tower X LLC were now representing Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs to develop and execute a nationwide campaign in the U.S. to combat anti-Semitism. How is this even allowed? So he's an agent for another country. In another registration form, Parscale also disclosed his partnership with Germany's Havas Media Network as part of the arrangement. And he got Germany in there too. When asked whether or not the agency was supervised by a foreign government, foreign political party, or other foreign principal, Parscale ticked the box yes, explaining that the agency was being supervised by the state of Israel. This should not be allowed. If you are into Chat GPT, you also need to pay attention to this as well. Check this out. According to the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft, Israel has enlisted Parscale to create content tailored to Gen Z audiences across platforms, including TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, podcasts, and other relevant digital and broadcast outlets, with a goal of reaching at least 50 million hits per month. Parscale will also reportedly work to influence AI models such as Chat GPT. So for those of you who use Chat GPT, keep that in mind. Some of the questions that you may ask Chat GPT, if in regards to Israel, the answers are probably going to be pro-Israel. Surprised. This is where we're at now. This is how far they are going. And it goes deeper. Shout out to Eli. Leaked emails reveal communications between the company leading the TikTok purchase and the former Israeli Prime Minister, Barak. We believe that we have to embed the love and respect for Israel in the American culture. That was written at that time by CEO of Oracle, Safra Katz. You see this? TikTok investor embed the love and respect for Israel in the US. It was a 2015 email. Now that's important, right? Because she was the Oracle CEO. You guys know that Larry Ellison, as we mentioned, billionaire, owns Oracle. We have to fight the battle before the kids get to college. She might get her wish now. What did I tell you about how they try to get them young? They try to get people when they're young and brainwash them then so that they won't even question it. So this is on a whole other level because they lost the information war. And so because they lost the information war, now they're trying to find a way to get that back. They also lost the social media war too. So they're trying to get that back. The problem is, like I said, people cannot unsee what they saw. And for those of us who saw what we saw, some of us also have children. What do you think we're going to tell our children? We tell them the truth. Now, they're willing to pay people $7,000 a post. What does that tell you? Let's see how much they've been spending all together here. Gen X Girl did a deep dive into this. FAR registration shows Israel paid $900,000 for U.S. influencers from July through December 2025. The year isn't up yet. $900,000. But they get money from us. Because see, here's the thing. If you guys want to look into the economics of it all, if they have $900,000 to pay American influencers, why is America giving them $3.8 billion a year? And some say, oh, well, that's just weapons. We shouldn't be giving them anything. If they have $900,000 to pay influencers, why are we giving them money and weapons? This is a list of identified pro-Israel influencers who attended the Israel influencer events between August and September. Israel 365 trip to Israel, Bill Ackman's Hamptons retreat, which Max Blumenthal talked about in his article, and Netanyahu's influencer event. Let's take a look at these peeps, folks. Some of them may look familiar to you. These are the paid influencers, right? Israel's 8th front war on information in America. Pro-Israel influencers have a collective reach of 18 million. Emily Austin, Jeremy Abramson, Xavier DeRussos. This is the guy who I showed you before. He was in that video talking about you guys need to learn how to be better at business. He was the one saying there's no starving people in Gaza. They've been doing this. Ben Soffer. And it tells you their influence reach underneath. So like Ben's influencer reach is 1.5 million. Cam Higbee. This is Cam Higbee. See this guy? There's Cam Higbee right there with Benjamin Netanyahu and his wife. If he looks familiar to you, it is because he was one of the guys that went to the HBCU campus in Nashville, Tennessee, and said that they were harassed and they were threatened, and they said a mob came at them the way that they were talking about the black students. So pay close attention. You have Israel paying influencers to invade HBCUs, antagonize black students, and then report back and call them a mob, aggressive, monsters. Any black person that still supports Israel is a fool. We continue on here. Go back. Emily Saves America, Destiny Allbritton, CJ Pearson. Yeah, they got black ones too. They're going to throw in some black faces so they can say, see, we're not racist. These are the sellouts. The black people willing to do this, they are the sellouts. They just do anything for money. Lou Holly, Danya Avner, Lizzie Savesky, Savannah Craven Anteo, Deborah Lee Schwartzman, Kristen Wan, Shay Zabo, that opinionated girl popped up for the first time on my TikTok. I had never seen this girl before, and I don't follow her. And she was there right in my feed. That's intentional. Brooke Goldstein, Liv Lane, Jane Zirkle, Fabian Garcia, Hannah Faulkner, Emily Talento. So you see what they did? They got a mixture of them. Look, we have white people and black people, and we also have Latinos too. We're not racist. White supremacy comes in different shades. Let me make sure we go down here. Now, if we follow down here, Gen Z Girl shared this as well. DOJ FARA filing reveals paid U.S. influencer campaign. And what she did was she has a list of them. You guys can't see all these names, but she has the list and how much money they were paid. This here from the Times of Israel confirms it. Inside Israel's Esther Project, DOJ filings reveal paid U.S. influencer campaign. See, I've been telling you guys. And then look at this one. This is Yuri Steinberg Consulting. Tel Aviv University. All of this is connected, guys. All of this is connected. The Israel 365 trip. Look at all these. Look. Here they are. Hold on. I can't play the music, so I'll have to mute it. But let's start this from the beginning. Look, here they are. Look. There's Xavier. There's Cam Higbee. See all these people. And there's Mike Huckabee. See, even Mike Huckabee is in on this. It's all connected. Emily Saves America. There it is. Thank you, Mike Huckabee, for a meeting with MAGA influencers brought to Israel by Israel 365 Act. And so here's something you guys need, because I have questions. Don't you think it's a little bit strange that Israel is allowing American influencers to come into Israel, but they're not allowing American journalists to report on this information? Don't you find, in the words of what's his name, Dr. Umar, what would Dr. Umar say? Don't you find that suspicious? Journalists can't come, but the influencers can come. Because the influencers are the new media. You see, all of them are in on it. Mike Huckabee's in on it. Hoping to win back young Republican support, Israel invites MAGA influencers. There it is right there. And this is the funny part. The youth vote actually increased for the Republican Party in 2024. Donald Trump received more support from the youth in 2024. But the Israel thing is a problem. A problem. Now, Gen X Girl also said this. As cited in the Times article, Netanyahu's recent meeting with U.S. faith-based influencers was part of the program. The organizers of Netanyahu meeting is an entity called Gen Zion, and its affiliate with the Philos Project. Many of the influencers who attended the meeting are affiliated with one or both Christian organizations. See, what did I tell you? Most of the Zionists in the U.S. are Christian. Influencers who work under the direction of a foreign government or receive payments from them must register under FARA. The intent of FARA is not to have the Israel PR people register and have the Americans work under them without registration. Pam Bondi and DOJ, who is responsible for FARA, must open investigations. Now, here's the problem, because this is something I want to point out as well. I need to grab the thing here from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Give me a second. Because Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing what honestly a lot of these politicians on the left should be doing. They should join her in this effort and put all the foolishness aside, put the ego aside, put careerism aside, and join Marjorie Taylor Greene in this effort, because right now she's the one calling for this to be handled. Let me just go ahead and share this here. Forgot to add that link. Here we are. Now, she was speaking to Matt Gaetz recently. So listen to what she says here.
Here's the thing. Let's talk about the social media influencers. I made 2 posts about this today. I find it highly offensive as an American that social media influencers can get paid basically under the table and no one knows who is paying them and who is sponsoring them. So today I made 2 posts. I made 1 post calling for any social media influencer, if they are getting paid by a foreign country, that they have to register under FARA. They have to register under FARA through the Department of Justice. The second post I made probably about an hour ago is I posted that, as a matter of fact, all social media influencers, they should have a badge or an icon or a different color check mark that lets the American people know that they take money for their posts, whether it's political, corporate sponsorships, or on behalf of a foreign government. I think these paid social media influencers need to, it's just like on TV you have to talk about who is sponsoring your program. Broadcasters have to say, this message is brought to you by XYZ. I think it should be the same for social media influencers. But the biggest part, Matt, is when it comes to them taking money from foreign governments. They should have to disclose that. It should be made available to the American people, and especially our MAGA influencers that are so-called America First. The biggest message they need to hear is they're not America First if they're taking payments by a foreign government.
Why isn't every left or who considers themselves to be left that isn't taking any money from AIPAC or Kufi, why aren't any of those politicians backing her on this? I think everyone needs to ask that question. Why aren't they backing her on this? I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene here. I think she's right about this. Yeah, I think there should be some type of label, sticker, emoji, or something that lets people know that you are paid by Israel. You are working on behalf of them. She's right on this. And this is something I think that really needs to be done. I think it's something that needs to be pushed. You may not agree with her on everything, but I think this is something we all need to back. Because I don't want people to be deceived, right? Just like I said the same thing about David Pakman taking that dark money with Chorus and all that stuff. I say the same thing here regardless. People need to know. And honestly, like I said before, if Israel has $900,000 to pay American influencers, we don't need to be giving them no money. None. No checks, no weapons, no nothing. Nothing. They can fend for themselves. If they have $900,000 They can fend for themselves. They have been paying influencers $7,000 per post. Most of you will never see $7,000 in 1 month. Think about that. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for the super chat, Mark. Sabs still didn't put up her plaque. I did not. I keep forgetting. I'm going to put it on my calendar. I'm going to put it on my calendar to do it. Thank you, Friedman Network. Sabby, you are so inspiring. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Shout out to Echo Pup Music, who's been a member for 10 months. Israel controlling TikTok won't save them. Everyone already knows the truth. Free Palestine. And also, why is Israel allowed to commit piracy? Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Echo Pup, longtime member here. Thank you, Married at First Sight Reviews. I love that show. I love Married at First Sight and Love is Blind. Did you see Glenn Greenwald's interview with Nick Fuentes? I did not. That's also on my list. I have so many things on my list to watch this weekend. Hopefully I get through all of them. Thank you, Kafunya, for the super sticker. Thank you, Joy, for the super sticker. Thank you, Tot. Please keep this up. You are my main news channel. Oh, thank you. Well, that is really sweet. I'm flattered. Thank you for the super chat, Shockwave Truth. High price crimes and misdemeanors brought to you by Felons to President PAC. Yeah. Thank you, Matless. Sabby, hoop earrings. LOL. Bringing it back to the streets with the old school look. Hey, back in the day, I used to wear hoops a lot. Like hoopity hoop hoop. I had small hoops, medium hoops, big hoops. So somebody here knows. Yeah. That used to be the thing back in the day. Thank you, Anita. Not many caught it, but Candace called for all TP USA executives to call her a liar. Guess who's the CEO? Charlie's wife, Erika. Yeah, we're going to get into Erika's story tonight. Thank you, Susanna. Israel intends to crush our free speech forever. They won't stop until they control every podcaster and influence this country. It's wild, man. Thank you, Shockwave. They're not selling out. They are buying in. Follow the money and the fools will show. Skylar says, y'all, this Israel influencer news got me so shook. I just dropped all my wings on the floor. I had only 2 of them before I lost them to the ground. I am sorry about the wing drop, Skylar. I'm sorry. That sucks. I hate it when you only have like 1 or 2 left and it's gone. Cloudness says 4-0 Yankees. It's over. It's over. We blew it last night. I'm telling you. Thank you, Roger. MTG been watching the left who left the dim left. And thank you, Nia. Sabby, would you be open to doing a deep dive on PG County execs? I believe they're all implicated in this data center fight. Also Brooks as well. Email me the information. I'm all about a deep dive. Thank you, Gamble. I like MTG's approach on this because it would, at the U.S. government level, commit America to defining whether Israel is a foreign entity or domestic territory. Yep. And thank you for the super sticker, Conversation Peace. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Keeping on. If you haven't done so, smash the like, ladies and gentlemen. And I got some news here that I did not expect to happen at all. This is wild, fam. Check this out. Cash Patel is a lot of things. Not transparent, a liar, and we can go on. And that is why I don't believe I'm about to say this, but Cash Patel and the FBI have decided to cut ties with the Anti-Defamation League. I kid you not. Check it out. FBI cuts ties with the ADL amid conservative backlash. FBI Director Kash Patel announces break with anti-Semitism watchdog amid outrage over description of Charlie Kirk. So, first and foremost, let me make this very clear. He is not cutting ties with the ADL because he cares for the Palestinian people. It's not because of that. He cut ties with the ADL because on their website, they had criticism of Charlie Kirk and Charlie Kirk's organization, Turning Point USA, and they described it as, I guess, one of the hostile radical organizations. Yeah. So it's partisan. So let's go on here. The top law enforcement agency in the United States has cut ties with the ADL, accusing the advocacy organization and anti-Semitism watchdog of spying on conservatives. The FBI director, Kash Patel, made the announcement on Wednesday after prominent conservative influencers, including Elon Musk, pounced on the ADL's inclusion of the murdered right-wing activist Charlie Kirk in its glossary of extremism and hate. So some people didn't know this, but yeah, the ADL for quite some time, they had Turning Point defined as one of the extremism and hate organizations on its website. And yet Turning Point USA was still willing to do the bidding of Israel. I mean, it's really wild when you think about it. Yeah, that was from the ADL. In a brief statement, Patel singled out the ADL's association with former FBI Director James Comey, a strident critic of Donald Trump, who was indicted last week on charges of obstruction and lying to U.S. Congress. Patel said Comey had written love letters to the ADL and embedded agents within the group, which he accused of running disgraceful ops spying on Americans. So now it's okay to say that these organizations were spying on Americans. This FBI won't partner with the political fronts masquerading as watchdogs, Patel said in the social media post. He did not elaborate on or provide evidence for his claims. In 2014, speech to the ADL's National Leadership Summit, Comey said the FBI had made the advocacy group's law enforcement and society training mandatory for personnel and partnered with it to draft a hate crimes training manual. Comey called the ADL's experience in investigating hate crimes essential and its training eye-opening and insightful. If this sounds a bit like a love letter to the ADL, it is, and rightfully so. That's coming from James Comey. While Patel did not mention Kirk in his statement, his announcement came just a day after the ADL removed more than 1,000 entries about alleged extremism from its website amid right-wing outrage over references to the late activists. The ADL said it made the decision as many of the terms were outdated and a number of entries had been intentionally misrepresented and misused. No, they made the decision because they received pressure from people on the right. Which brings up another point. Why doesn't the left bring that same type of pressure to the ADL? See, they think they slick. I'm going to show you what their website says in just a second. We're going to talk about how they, I feel, purposely added other groups so that if you go against them, then they can say you're going against those other groups as well. See, I wasn't born yesterday. I know how this works. Now they have responded. The ADL issues a new statement after Kash Patel cuts ties. And Kash Patel been all over the place these crazy days. Now, again, it says they're facing criticism because they were basically labeling some Christians extremists. So here we go. They go into his statement. The criticism of the ADL comes during heightened political polarization and increasing concerns over religious violence and free speech in the United States. Here's a picture here that says the ADL supports genocide, which they do. And here's their response. The ADL has deep respect for the Federal Bureau of Investigation and law enforcement officers at all levels across the country who work tirelessly every single day to protect all Americans, regardless of their ancestry, religion, ethnicity, faith, political affiliation, or any other point of difference. Everybody notice this work tirelessly comment again? Sound familiar? Why does everyone keep using this phrase? She's working tirelessly for a ceasefire. Work tirelessly. In light of unprecedented surge of anti-Semitism, we remain more committed than ever to our core purpose to protect the Jewish people. By the way, unprecedented surge. Jonathan Greenblatt's been saying this for years. Jonathan Greenblatt for years has been saying we are seeing a surge. Unprecedented. How many times do you surge? How many times is it unprecedented? But let me show you the game. Peep the game. If you go to the ADL's website, I want to show you guys something. ADL Global Atlas Mapping an Urgent Anti-Semitism Problem. Watch this. Because I thought this was interesting. Look at the issues. Right over here towards the right. Fight anti-Semitism, combat extremism, disrupt online hate and harassment, protect civil rights, challenge bias. Which one is first? Let's make this bigger. Because I want to prove a point about this. Which one is first? First is fight anti-Semitism. Then it's combat extremism. And when they say extremism, they're talking about on the right and the left. They go after what they call left extremism, and they go after what they call right extremism. Let me say something about the left extremism for just a second, because I want to prove a point. When they come after like the progressives, who they call left extremists, which that's not extreme. When they go after those politicians and say that they're left extremists, all of those politicians are advocating for an end to a genocide, and they've criticized Israel. Now, I would go further than them and say that, no, you should not vote to fund the Iron Dome. You're protecting Israel when you do that, right? But when they say combat extremism, and they're calling out the progressive Congress members that support progressive policies, how come they don't never call out Israel for having those same policies? Uh-oh. How come they don't call out Israel for having universal health care? How come they don't call out Israel for having free public college? That's the same type of left extremism they have an issue with. Not just the Gaza stuff. It's also basic economics. Why they don't call that out? If you look at this closer, disrupt online hate and harassment, but that's whatever they consider that to be. That can change. As I just told you in the previous article, they said they scrubbed their website as some of the organizations that were identified as extremists. This can change. Protect civil rights. Why is civil rights all the way down here? Because you know what that includes? Watch this. Protect civil rights. That includes racial justice, LGBTQ, gender equity, refugee status, religious freedom, immigrant. Okay, so to prove my point, and I want to make this very clear, protect civil rights all the way at the bottom. Notice what they put first and what they put at the bottom. What does that tell you? This organization in particular was established to protect Jewish Americans. That's what it was established for, primarily. That's the number one focus. And let me ask you a question. As we've seen this with other organizations as well, right? They usually put their needs first. Other needs come later. Why is it that when Black Americans say, let me put the needs for my community first, why is it that the ADL and all these other organizations will come to Black Americans and say, you need to include everybody else? Somebody asked that question. Because, see, I want to prove a point. They prioritize them. When we look at where we are on the ground, in the courts, in the halls of government, in the news, on campus, in schools, around the world, online, everywhere. But Jonathan Greenblatt would have you believe that this is the most oppressed group in the world. You see what I'm saying? Now look at something else. When we look at protect civil rights, I'm going to highlight it here. Do, 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 do. Since our founding, the ADL has fought for justice and fair treatment under the law through our civil rights work throughout the course of our history. We have filed or joined briefs in cases concerning, look at the order, religious freedom, immigrant and refugee status, racial justice, LGBTQ rights, gender equity, and other civil rights issues. What are the other civil rights issues? And also, notice what they put first: religious freedom, because that applies for Israel. Then is immigrant and refugee status. Racial justice is third. LGBTQ is fourth. The reason why I'm pointing this out is this. Now, Black folk, Black organizations, you were told that you need to be pro-Israel. The Congressional Black Caucus is told they have to be pro-Israel. They put Israel first. But on the ADL's very website, do they put you first? Do they put any other group first? I hope everybody is picking up what I'm laying down, because this is what has basically been happening, folks. You have all these other organizations, NAACP, Congressional Black Caucus, Urban League, all these orgs that are supposed to really represent the Black community or help the Black community. All of these organizations are Israel first. That comes before you. But you don't come before them. So I'm fine with the FBI cutting ties with the ADL. I mean, Israel is paying influencers like $7,000 for a post. Why doesn't Israel fund the ADL? These are things people need to think about. When I tell you I have questions, this is some of the things I'm talking about. Like, you got to pay attention to some of these things. Every other organization is supposed to stop what they're doing, and they're supposed to prioritize Israel and put Israel first. And don't tell me it's not true. I've heard it from multiple organizations, especially Black ones. But none of these organizations, the ADL, AIPAC, even Kufi, which is a Christian organization, they put Israel first. But their organizations don't put you first. Let that sink in. So like I said, if you're Black and you're still supporting Israel, you're a fool. Case in point. Let's continue on here, ladies and gents. We have one more story for you, folks. One more story for you. Thank you, Gamble. I think I'm in the right place for the. Did I say this yet? Oh, I did say that one. I'm sorry. Whoopsie. Thank you, Conversation Piece, for the super sticker. Thank you, TJ White, for the super chat. Hey, Sabby. Thanks, Texas. Murder by decree and add a .com at the end. See what your president, the Pope, a king, and the head of NATO are charged with in Europe right now, not getting attention. It's awful. And yes, children involved. Interesting. I'll have to look into that. Thank you, Texas. Thank you for the super sticker, Vilma. Holy crap. Thank you. Thank you, Cloudness. WS take both sides of the argument B1. And thank you, Janine. Deep dive into Leo Frank, Jewish man in the creation of the ADL after he, oh yeah, I heard part about this. He assaulted and murdered a 13-year-old, allegedly. Convicted based on a black man's testimony, aka defamation, is a lesson to know. I heard a little bit about that. And thank you, Roger, says Rockfin. I'll have to get that at the end because it's just me tonight, not Eric. All right, ladies and gents, we are at the final story again. Smash the like if you haven't done so. Thank you so much. And we're keeping this show on the road. Let's go to the next story, the final story here. Not a fan of Nick Fuentes. Not a fan of Nick Fuentes. He does get a lot of attention. I think Nick Fuentes is a racist. Just 4 months. I mean, he doesn't hide who he is. Every now and then, Nick Fuentes says something that kind of makes you think, and that moment came. And this is about Erika Kirk. Now, I didn't know about this. Like some of this, I just didn't know. And after I saw this video, I said, there is just something weird here. Like, what do we know about Erika Kirk? I just did not know much about her. But I found out some things. And it's just weird. And this is not to say that she is guilty of anything. But it is to make you want to ask some damn questions. And I have questions. And I think you might too. Like the first one being this. I just thought it was a little bit weird that Charlie Kirk passed away just still kind of recently. And it was kind of weird to me that like she was making these appearances. I get it. She was at the memorial service. Obviously, she was going to appear there. But then I saw her on the Charlie Kirk podcast, and she was talking about the business side of things moving forward. And to me, it was just kind of like bizarre because I had a friend that lost their spouse. I had a former supervisor that lost their boyfriend. And you want to talk about grief, like they weren't trying to talk to nobody, at least for the first week. So it's just weird. And then I said, well, maybe people just grieve a little bit differently. But then I just kept hearing these things that like, let's talk about the next step for turning point. And in my mind, when my grandma passed away, I was really hurt. The last thing I was thinking about is business. So it's just all kind of weird. JB said Erika Kirk moved on fast. Right. It almost kind of seemed like, I don't know, fast. Nick Fuentes pointed something out recently. Brian Allen shared this. Heartbreaking. Nick Fuentes is actually right about Erika Kirk. I didn't think the day would come, but here we are. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way too. I was like, is anybody else noticing this?
It's like, lady, didn't your husband just get his face blown off like 2 seconds ago? And not to be insensitive about it, but everyone's thinking it. No one wants to be the asshole. No one wants to say it. Everyone's thinking it. Everyone was thinking it when she gave the first speech. Everyone was definitely thinking it at the memorial. Nobody wants to say it because it's inappropriate, it's insensitive. I am the troll, right? So I'll be the one to say it. I think it's super inappropriate. I think it's inappropriate. I think it's weird. It's bizarre. Something is off there, and I don't like it.
It is very weird. It's weird. Now, don't get it twisted, because Nick was like switching up on things too. Because after Charlie Kirk's death, he was starting to say, like, oh, well, no, maybe we shouldn't, he was starting to switch up some of the things that he said too when it came to censorship. All of a sudden, he was pro censorship. People were criticizing Charlie Kirk's death, etc. So, yeah, you do troll. He does troll sometimes. But to this point, I told you guys, and at first I was kind of hesitant to say it. And I think the first time I said it was like, it might've been last stream when I was like, anybody notice things just moving kind of fast? Like, I just don't I don't know. Like, do you guys know people that lost a spouse or a significant other? And how were they acting? Because everyone that I know that happened to, they were not grinning and smiling and ready to go on shows. And it just, they weren't thinking about business at all. At all. Let's go on.
But they're doing the Super Bowl commentators with the headsets on, doing a media table. They're selling merch, registering voters. They got pyrotechnics. Is this WrestleMania or is this a funeral? Like, what are we doing here? And then the day after the funeral, I'm getting 500 texts and emails. Erika Kirk here. I miss him. Every time I blink, every beat of my heart. Make sure to donate $5, $15, $25. It's like, okay. Then they're doing a show. Did you see the show today? And so prescient. I said it last night. I said, I'm getting like a fake vibe. Something's off there. And people say, well, everybody grieves differently. Yeah, I don't know how much mileage we can get out of that one anymore. Something's not right there. Very bizarre, weird vibe there. And did you see the show? Erika hosted the Charlie Kirk show this afternoon, and she's like, she looks like she's over the moon. She's happy as a clam. And again, who am I to judge? Everybody grieves differently. She's a very devout Christian. Some people say maybe that's just strength, that's resolve. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Because I have just never seen, I'm sorry, I've never seen this type of behavior. The last thing that I would be thinking about is, oh, well, the business I wouldn't even be in that right mindset, like at all, especially not just the fact of how her spouse died, the way that he died. I think circumstances do matter sometimes. Like if you know that someone like your significant other like is sick or whatever, and you've already been told that this day is coming, I think you have a little bit more time to prepare for that, but you still are going to grieve. This came out of nowhere. And so to me, I just don't understand it. I really don't. I would not be in the right frame of mind to come forward and say, well, yeah, let's talk about what we're going to do next with Turning Point USA. I wouldn't be thinking about that at all. At all. I mean, it's almost as if this was more of an arrangement. Was it? We'll get into that.
It's one thing if your husband dies, period. It's another thing if your husband dies at age 31, unexpectedly. It's another thing if your 31-year-old husband unexpectedly dies because he gets publicly executed with blood gushing out in front of thousands of people screaming and running away. That's like something that's altogether different.
This is one of those times where I have to agree with Nick Fuentes. Like it's just weird to me. And I was like, When I saw this video, I was like, okay, someone said it. We can say it. Because I've been feeling this way. And I was like, is it insensitive if I say it? But then, then more information was sent my way. And we got to give a shout out here, of course, to Nico House. We do have to give a shout out to, because he did a really big deep dive into this. But first, I want to start with this article, because I can't unsee it. I didn't know about the past or anything like that, but it's all been put in my face now. And I have questions, and I think you may as well. Check this out. Thank you for this article, sir. I think his name is Sir Escanar. Thank you for this. He put these pieces together, and then we'll show you the video from Nico. So America, the Erika Kirk files. So I didn't know all this. I didn't know that she was in beauty pageants or whatever, but I saw that and I was like, okay, whatever. What's the big deal? But then I got to the Romania part, and that was a little bit weird. It says, meet Erika Kirk, Miss Arizona 2012, Trump pageant girl, casting director. Okay. Nothing alarming to me there so far. Now the widowed queen inheriting Charlie Kirk's empire. But peel back the traditional wife veneer and you'll find something darker. 2, she ran Romanian Angels, an orphan ministry in Constanta, Romania. Locals accused it of trafficking children under the guise of mission work. Exactly the model exposed in the Clinton Foundation scandals in Guatemala through Save the Children. So why Romania? That's random as hell. People have to know, in some of these countries, like Romania, Moldova, some of these countries where there may be a little bit more corruption than even what we're used to here in the United States, and nobody cares about these kids that are at these orphanages, there's exploitation that can take place. Let's continue on, because this is some wild stuff. It goes on to say here, she started this ministry for orphans at 17 years old in conjunction with the U.S. and Romanian military. Those Romanian orphans are exported to the UK, Israel, and undisclosed hands. Highlight Israel. Philanthropy or pipeline? Is Erika Kirk Romanian? No? Okay. Just checking. 3, her resume writes itself like a honeypot manual. Trump's Miss America 2012, Trump-owned pageant, casting director, founder of multiple nonprofits with orphan projects, married into MAGA's golden boy after falling in love over an interview set up by Trump's team. That's not coincident. That's placement. And that's what I was trying to ask you guys. What if it was arranged? What if they were just put together? What if it was more like a business matchup? Like, for example, like Hillary and Bill Clinton. You guys really believe that Bill and Hillary, maybe Hillary, think she might have been more in love with him than him with her? You really believe that wasn't arranged? That wasn't like a business relationship? So this is what I'm wondering. 4, her father, DOD plus Raytheon Israeli division. Now, again, she can't help what job her parents had, but I'm just putting all these pieces together. We have the dad for the Department of Defense plus Raytheon, the Israeli division. We have the orphan kids coming from Romania, and one of the places that they were sent to was Israel. We also know, as reported by CBS News of all places years ago, that Israel has become a hotbed for convicted sex offenders, or they can go live there and just chill. Connecting the dots. The mother, listen to what she says about the mom.
How did your mom choose Phoenix?
So she chose to move to Phoenix from Ohio because there was more of.
Sorry, let's start back here. Okay, here we go.
How did your mom choose Phoenix?
So she chose to move to Phoenix from Ohio because there was more of an opportunity for a female business owner out here, especially from the standpoint of she was getting involved with the government, so Homeland Security and Department of Defense. And so she had other business partners that were out here that were already in that industry, especially from the standpoint of she was getting involved with the government, so Homeland Security and Department of Defense. She was getting involved with the government, so Homeland Security and Department of Defense.
So mom worked for Homeland Security and the Department of Defense. Pops worked for the DOD plus Raytheon Israeli division. So if it is true that children were allegedly trafficked from Romania and some of them sent to places like Israel under this nonprofit that she had, when you have parents where one of them works in the Israeli division of Raytheon, and you have a mom who was Homeland Security and Department of Defense, do you really think that the government is going to hold you accountable? Or any of those people involved accountable? I would say hell's nah. Let's go on. Again, this is just weird. Her parents, prominent Zionists, her grandfather, Carl Kenneth Francie, vice president of American Banknote Company. Yes, the ones tied to secure printing and IDs, was Grand Chief of the Independent Order of Vikings, knighted by the King of Sweden. That's not some random traditional wife. She was wealthy before knowing Charlie. 5, zoom out. The architecture is deja vu. Roy Cohn built the CIA sex kitten blackmail machine. We talked about Roy Cohn before on the show. He also had represented Donald Trump before in the 70s. And for those who are not aware, for whatever reason, during the 70s in New York City, it appears that if you were involved in real estate in some way, shape, or form, somehow there was some type of tie or whatever to the mob. There was connection there because a lot of times, like back in that day, the mob was involved in real estate. Roy Cohn came in to defend Donald Trump. Yeah, I've watched so many documentaries about this, that Roy Cohn came in and he was also connected to organized crime. If you read Whitney Webb's articles, her Epstein series, and read her books, she also mentions Roy Cohn and his connections to organized crime. Let's continue on. Epstein wasn't a fluke. He was a franchise plug-in. Erika's pageant to angel trajectory fits the blueprint. Why would a young multimillionaire from an initiated family become a Trump pageant girl? Unless Erika attended a Jesuit university, Regis University, located in Denver, Colorado. Guess who else attended a Jesuit school? Again, Erika was recruited into modeling. Her first pageants were Donald Trump-owned Miss USA pageants, winning Miss Arizona in 2012. Was she set up for Charlie the way Melania was set up for Donnie? Brought to the U.S. by Paolo Zampalli, we covered him before, a modeling agent with ties to Mossad, Epstein's orbit, and elite trafficking rings. Starting to notice a pattern here? 6, even the branding repeats. Tate's Angels, the cam girl, trafficking ring. Romanian Angels, Erika's orphan project accused of trafficking. Angels, as cover for export pipelines of flesh on the younger side. Don't forget Epstein's financier, Lex Wexner's Victoria's Secret angels. Epstein had power of attorney over Wexner's estate. And we all know what those angels are all about, don't we? Questions, questions, questions. Charlie's angels. This isn't religious branding, it's operational branding. 7. Meanwhile, Charlie Kirk, Turning Point USA, UK, launched at the Royal Automobile Club under Prince Michael of Kent, Grand Master of Freemasonry. George Farmer, Candace Owens' husband, sat as chairman, tied to Andrew Tate long before Candace. Controlled networks, every link in place. And George Farmer, Candace's elite husband, ties to Tate's angels to Erika. 8. Ask yourself, is Erika Kirk the grieving traditional wife or the CIA Mossad honeypot who just inherited the keys to the MAGA's youth machine? Did she pay her dues and rite of passage? Charlie's political machine didn't collapse. It was transferred, resurrected through his ritual death. Now that was a lot. And I don't know, but I'm just going to say this. It's all weird. It's all a bit weird to me. I mean, again, I didn't know about these things. Nico House really does a good job bringing this home as well, especially in regards to Romanian angels.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Erika Kirk Romanian angel story just got even weirder, if that is even possible. At this point, those of you who have been paying attention know that the Romanian Angels nonprofit organization in Romania was created by Erika Kirk and her mom and ran from roughly 2011-2012 to about 2017. Now, there have been some suspicions and allegations that this organization may or may not have been linked to some sex trafficking that took place with some U.S. military personnel on a nearby NATO base.
That part you guys needed to know. Now we're talking about military personnel that could have been involved.
Now, once that allegation was made upon the death of Charlie Kirk and Erika taking over as CEO of TPUSA, mainstream media rushed to claim that it was falsehood, that it had been completely debunked, and I'm here to tell you that's actually not true. In January of 2020, Anna Maria Nasiu, a former Romanian translator, accused military personnel of having a brothel on base. Specifically, Anna accused Colonel Alder Busher III and his adjutant Lloyd Sparks of operating and facilitating the brothel on the base premises with underage girls. Now, Nusiu claimed that these activities dated back to 2011, right around the time Romanian Angels was co-founded by Erika Kirk and her mother. Now,
that part right there is really important. And don't forget, guys, if you may be shocked by some of the things that are being said, you're like U.S. military personnel. Well, don't forget there was U.S. military personnel that sexually assaulted children during the war in Vietnam. Don't forget about that. And had it not been for Seymour Hersh's writing, we may not have never known about that. That probably would have been covered up. So just keep that in mind.
Once again, you'll hear mainstream media over and over again claim that there is no credible evidence linking these allegations to that military personnel or linking these allegations to the organization. The problem is mainstream media is refusing to tell you why there's no quote unquote credible evidence linking the two. And the reason why probably serves as a valid explanation as to why Erika decided to do this nonprofit organization in Romania, of all places. You see, in 2001, the U.S. and Romanian governments made a deal. Any criminal activity conducted by U.S. personnel would be investigated and handled by the U.S. government and the U.S. government alone, which means if they were guilty of having a brothel, if that colonel were to be found guilty by the Romanian government or to be found suspected of anything by the Romanian government, we could possibly never know because the Romanian government actually has no power to prosecute him.
Not only that, but remember, if it is true that her dad worked for Raytheon Israeli division and her mom worked for Homeland Security, do you really think that this is something that like they would go and hold those military personnel accountable? Now, here's the thing, whether or not like she knew if this is true, whether or not if she knew that that's what was happening to those kids, I don't know. I don't know. But what I'm saying is these things just ain't really it just looks suspicious. It's just really weird. And when you make the connection to the way that she just kind of jumped in, it was like, yeah, let's just, keep Turning Point going. And I mean, most people would not be ready to show their face. And she's on podcasts just speaking on like Charlie Kirk's show as if nothing happened. It's just kind of weird. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, don't you need time to grieve and time to reflect unless it was a business relationship, unless it was you are going to be with this person and you guys are going to help each other grow? I don't know. But all of this is just weird.
And Maria, the translator, accused the Romanian government and the US government of a massive cover-up. So I'm like, damn, Maria is making accusations that go back from 2011 to at least 2018, 2019. Maybe it's just a big ass coincidence and Erika couldn't have possibly known about any of this. Except in Erika's promotional video for Romanian Angels, she personally thanks Colonel Busher III, U.S. Army, U.S. Marine Corps for everything that he's done.
There's his name right there. It says, thank you, Colonel Busher III, U.S. Army. So she does know who he was and she knows that he was there.
For her organization. And till this day, she has not spoken about the allegations against Busher. She has not spoken out nor condemned anything that this base has been accused of since she's ended her organization. Despite the fact that her nonprofit organization worked directly with the soldiers on that base who were being accused. And this entire timeline of the accusations involving this base just so happens to fall right within the timeline and the window that she was running a nonprofit organization that dealt directly with orphan children.
It's not looking good, bruh. I'm telling you guys, like, it just does not look good. It doesn't sound good. It doesn't look good. But let's finish it out here.
And then she just stopped running it and never really gave an explanation as to why. Nor has she given an explanation how she got directly connected to Colonel Busher in order to get him involved with the nonprofit. But I'm pretty sure that has something to do with her mom being intimately involved with DHS, the Department of Defense, etc., etc., etc. And so not only does Erika have some questions to answer, but so does her mother. And how much does she know about the trafficking and the accusations that took place in Romania that were such a big deal there, a major story there, and yet they pretended and continue to pretend like it never happened.
You know what I was just thinking about as well? The modeling industry, which Epstein was very much, remember, he was very much a part of that. You know that from Whitney Webb's articles and books as well. The modeling industry always recruited those girls very young. 13, 14. I don't even know if it's modeling is what it used to be back in the day. But when I was growing up, models were always on the cover of magazines. And then enter the age of reality TV, and then you saw like reality stars or actors and actresses on the cover of magazines, and now influencers, right? So things have changed over the years. But I grew up, there were supermodels, etc. But they always got those girls very young. Charlie Kirk starting Turning Point USA very young. Even what I told you before about APAC, how they try to get them very young. Parents, talk to your kids. Parents, talk to your kids. And Erika, very young. Because according to that article, it says that she started that nonprofit when she was 17. Talk to your kids, parents, talk to your kids. But I will say, I'm glad that somebody said it because, I kind of been holding this in for a minute where I was just kind of like, am I the only one noticed that she don't really seem like she really grieving like that? Am I the only one noticed that she kind of out here? Like, oh no. Yeah. But the bio there about her, like that raises some flags. That raises some flags. I don't know, man. We don't really know. We don't really know these people. So shout out to Nico, who is killing it. Has done multiple deep dives about this. I'm just gonna say these connections are hella sus. Hella sus. The Epstein connection, the Romanian Angels connection, I don't know, man. I don't know. Something is rotten in the state of Denmark. Let's go to the super chats here, ladies and gents, and then we'll head on out of here. I'm pretty sure we probably lost the game. I'm pretty sure Red Sox probably lost, so you don't have to tell me, guys. Teresa said Nico House has been reporting on this. Yes. Guys, make sure you go to Nico's channel because Nico has been covering this. I was like, what the hell is going on? Thank you, Connie. Erika and TP USA, Sus, Candace Tucker, and Nick only. Thank you, Shockwave. ADL founded in September 1913 by Bina Brith for advocation of their agenda. After their Federal Reserve came into power in December of 1913, IRS founded July 1913, all under Woodrow Wilson prior to World War I. Interesting. Thank you, Cloudness. Trafficking much? Epstein 2.0. This is a cold world. Thank you, Jay. Roy Cohen also represented Steve Rubble and Ian Schrager, who co-owned Studio 54. He very much in demand indeed. Wow. Thank you, baby Ethernet. Those Epstein files are fire. Good luck, Donald. Thank you, Anita. Who becomes a casting director at age 18? Casting director for Epstein? Yeah, it's sus. It is sus. Thank you, Gamble. Consider Jackie Kennedy's reflexive response to her husband's demise was to literally reach for the fragment of his head. Erika appeared in a questionable infomercial, a la Jerry's Kids. You don't find that suspicious? It's wild, guys. It's wild. Let me get the comments on Rockfin as well. Just bear with me here for a second. I guess we were all channeling Dr. Umar tonight with "You don't find that suspicious?" And just make sure I mute it there. Okay, the Rockfin. Thank you, Roger. I'm just reading the tips. I can't share my screen because Eric's not here right now. Thank you for the tip on Rockfin, Roger. Why does everyone think when it comes to presidential elections that they all live in swing states when it comes to presidential elections? To think that people would end a friendship with you because of the way you voted. How did that conversation go? Sabrina, every vote counts. If you don't vote, Kamala, Massachusetts will go red like last time. Regarding Candy, when they're done with you. Yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird. Thank you, Stephanie. Hi, Sabby. Garland Nixon today suggested that the assassination of Kirk might have even more to do with Israel's wish for war with Iran than with Gaza. Kirk apparently helped to talk Trump out of the idea of war with Iran once, but Netanyahu is determined to get us into attacking Iran. Getting someone as influential as Kirk out of the way, Garland suggests, takes care of the obstacle of war. I need to invite Garland Nixon back on. Thank you, Stephanie. And thank you, Dave, for the tip. Thank you, Sabby, for keeping it live. You are welcome. That's an interesting point. Interesting point. Okay. All right, guys. That is it for me. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I will be live on Sunday. We got one more. Thank you, Russ. Sabby, great work. Great podcast. Keep up the great work. Thank you for telling us the truth. You are welcome. You are welcome. Okay. Have a great weekend, guys. I'll see you on Sunday. Have a good night and keep up the fight.